Let's get into some shite. Hello, welcome to Apocalyptic. You know, I just noticed something weird. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm still trying to get to learn this little recorder thing that I got that I do the podcast on, and it was something weird was happening, but I just realized it was supposed to be happening. How are you? How you doing? It's too early for this. Let's just go back to bed. I don't know when you're listening to this, but I've gotten a habit of doing these really early morning shows. And I'm not really a morning person. I probably used to be more than I am now. And I find that as I wake up, you know, my voice, it takes a while for the voice to kick in. You know, I get all, poo. You know, that's what old people do. I would tell you no, I'm not even going to go into that. I've seen old people have to deal with their old people stuff. I'm not at that level yet. I'll get there. It's not pretty. You know, you when you're young and you see people getting old, especially when people are really old, and it's almost like you think they chose to be your great grandpa and to walk like that and to eat like that and to not be able to do certain, but they didn't choose it. It just happened to them. And one day, if you live long enough, you're going to see it happening to you. And it's not that much fun. It's fun that I made it to the age that I did make it. But I always thought that there would be a period of time when I would be perfect, you know, have the perfect body. I'd be able to have sex perfectly. I'd have like the perfect sex partner. I would be flying all across the globe and visiting big cities. I would be smart. I would be running a company and people would be coming to me for the answers. None of that stuff ever happened to me. I never got command over my body. I didn't get out of acne until maybe 5 years ago. No one told me that was going to happen. And now I guess it's old age acne that starts coming back. You know, you don't ever get to be perfect. It's just you're waiting until that moment when you're just like, now. I thought it was going to happen in my 30s. 30s are a good decade. If you're not there, if you're there, you know what I'm talking about. And sometimes you don't know until after you reflect onto it. 40s are okay. But 30s, oh man, everything's kind of working good in your 30s. So take advantage of it. People get married, and I'm not condemning you, not putting you down. I did it. You get married in your 20s, kind of lock yourself into a lifestyle. Think twice about that. Your 30s are good. 30s are the time. You know, you're always clubbing in your 20s. There should be no one wants to see it, but there should be a clubbing. There should be clubbing going on in your 30s because you're good. You're good. You're really only good to other people in your 30s. No one wants to see 30-year-olds clubbing, but that's a good decade. Oh, I remember it. It's like twice my life ago. Holy crap. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be like if I can make it to my 70s and 80s. I hope I have some kind of distinguished characteristics. I hope I'm still lucid. Oh man, the way I'm going, I'm not going to be. Forget a lot of stuff now. But it's fun. It's fun being able to say, okay, now I'm going into the old age years and let's see what that's like, you know? It's better than your teens. No one wants to do that again. Ugh. I wouldn't want to do I had some good 20-year-old experiences, but I wouldn't want to go back and do that again. Would you? It's so confusing. You have really great friends. I went to a Southern Baptist college at that time in my life. I thought I was going to be a minister for a while, and that's changed to theater. And I had a lot of great friends, a lot of friends now. In retrospect, it's just like, I should have dated that person. Why weren't we having all kinds of sex like the people in the big universities were having? Well, it's because we were young Christians. Don't do that. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily for having a lot of sex, but there's something about, I have memories of being intimate with people who I haven't seen again since I've been intimate with them. But that intimacy is a very important thing in my life. And it's like a moment that you shared with a person, whether it's somebody that you became good friends with, barely friends, married, or you don't even know. I never forgot any of it. That intimacy it's just, I don't know. Isn't it nice to know that you shared that moment with a human being, another human being? A lot of times it's a selfish thing. You want it, they want it. Just go get it and then go somewhere else. That's the way it is sometimes. But isn't that still okay? Isn't that still kind of a wonderful feeling to think about, that you both were able, two people could get together and make each other feel good for just an hour or two? I mean, what life constantly makes you feel like crap, right? So you can grab these moments when you could make someone else feel like the best they could feel at that moment. You know, get a trophy. You deserve a trophy. All right, I'm a little concerned. I don't know for sure what you're supposed to do in this situation. I know I'm a little concerned about even saying this publicly because I don't think this person listens to my podcast. But if they did, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't want them to know this, but all right, so I have a neighbor, right? A neighbor who I've noticed is kind of no longer there. So this is like a neighbor who I have seen, not a friend. You see the neighbor and like, hey, how's it going? And, but I've seen this neighbor's presence on a regular basis since I have had my house for 7 years. And this, I'm trying not to give out too much information. So I'm just going to say it's a single woman. All right. Just say single woman. I didn't want to go that far. I didn't want to go to risk a chance of identifying this person, but I think it's important to the story. Single woman. Now, this not somebody that you wouldn't think could take care of herself. I mean, I think from what I know and have seen, I think she's somewhat athletic, tall. She'd kick my ass. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't mess with her. And young, vibrant, nothing. I think she could probably take care of herself, living the young single woman lifestyle. Anyway, I noticed a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, I don't remember exact time, but 7 years this person has lived by herself that I know of, and then all of a sudden there's a new vehicle that shows up in this person's driveway on a regular basis. And then it starts appearing that this person is living there in the house. And that's fine. It's just like, oh, cool. She's got a dude now. All right. Hey, that's what people want to do. Young people, they want to pair up and you get a family and all that kind of stuff. But all of a sudden, I don't see this woman anymore. I just see the dude. And I used to see her several times a week, and I don't see her anymore. And I'm starting to be concerned. It's like, when is the point where it's just none of your business? You're crossing the line into that's not your business. I mean, we have neighborhood watch where you look around, you see a vehicle that's driving through the neighborhood that shouldn't be there, right? You report it. Anytime you see anything suspicious, people say, go ahead and report it. And I see it on the ID channel. That's kind of my Bible on how to live life now, is the ID channel. And I see it all the time. Someone just does something to someone, and then they're like, oh, yeah, they told me they were going on vacation for a year or two, and just to leave them alone. They want to be left alone. And I'm always thinking, who buys that? I mean, does no one call? Check on them? Everybody's just like, oh, okay. Well, she didn't tell me, but I'll take your word for it, stranger. that I can't trust, but hey, I'll trust you for that. You kind of have to. What do you do? I mean, that's none of my business. I don't know what the lifestyle is, but I'm concerned. Some strange person, I don't know what's happened. She could be chopped into bits in her house, in her freezer right now. And I didn't call the police. What do? I can't call the police. What if they come to the door and they're like, yeah, this is our business, dude. What are you missing? Why are you looking at us right now? So I don't know what to do. What's the appropriate thing? How do you handle that? Just leave them alone. Take the chance. I think that's what you have to do. I don't want to be that person. I want to have some kind of concern about my neighbors, even if they're not my friends, even if I don't know them really well. I just don't know what to do. Hey, I did a video this week. You've probably seen it. I put it up on the Apocalyptic channel on YouTube, and I put it up on the website. I didn't know what to do with it. It doesn't have anything to do with the podcast, so you don't have to watch it or listen to it or whatever. It's about quantum physics, metaphysical, spirituality stuff, and it's things that I thought about that I wanted to have a record of. I just thought, because sometimes I think about things and then I forget that I thought about them. I'll write them down sometimes, and I'll come back and look, and I'll go, wow, what was I thinking? I can't even remember thinking that. I mean, I've painted entire paintings, and I go back and I'm like, I don't even remember painting any of that. So I have a notebook that I write stuff down, and I've had to start putting the sources down, because sometimes I'll read a book and I'll think, wow, that's great. And I'll write it down. And then months later, years later, I'll come back and look at it. And I don't know if I thought that and I said that, or if I read it somewhere. So I can't ever use it, because I'll get accused of plagiarism. Again, I don't think that's getting old. I don't think it has anything. I used to do it when I was young. It's getting worse as I get older, but anyway, video, you can watch it if you want. It's about 20 minutes long. It might be a subject matter you don't care about, but I am thinking of doing a channel just for those kind of videos. If you watch it and you like it and you think it's kind of cool or interesting or whatever, let me know if I should do a channel. I don't know. I need help. I need feedback. When you get locked up in your studio all day long and it's just you, you think weird things, and you think people would think it's funny or interesting, like this podcast. And sometimes you need people to go, no, don't do that. Don't. I just want to throw that out. How do you sign your emails? And what I mean signing, let's just say business emails. You can, but just signing your name, just putting your name, sometimes is a little cold. You know, just like, I'm really looking forward to our meeting, Rick. It just sounds weird. So you got to put like a little tag, right? So like the other day, someone sent me an email and it was signed. It was like, all my best, Jane. I was like, really, Jane? I get all your best? Awesome. All of Jane's best now goes to me. I'm wondering if that's actually a legal contract. I mean, she signed her name. She signed her name afterwards. Can I take that to court and demand all of her best? I feel like I can. And then it has to include all of her best for her entire life. So like 20 years from now, I could go back in and check it all and see if she's gotten any more best things, and those go to me. Thanks, Jane. I usually sign my emails regards, which I think is, I never use that word. Why do I use it in emails? I'm looking forward to our meeting next week, and I will have all of the documents ready. Regards, Rick. Regards. I didn't even know what regards meant today. I had to look it up. So here we go. Regards, to look upon or think of, it just says to look upon or think of with a particular feeling. That's creepy. I'm signing my emails to someone saying, hi, I have a particular feeling about you. I'm letting people know that I'm this kind of creepy lurker dude. I had no idea I was doing that. Regards. Give my particular feelings to Broadway, right? Give my regards to Broadway. I don't know. Let's see. There's another definition: to have or show respect or concern for. That makes a little more sense. To pay attention, to look or gaze, which is also creepy. This is like, I'll see you next week. I'm looking and gazing at you. Rick. I don't know. Now I have to come up with I can't use my best. I don't want to give my best to other people. I mean, I do, but I don't want to promise. I don't want them to come in and take it. Let's put it that way. I don't want a legal document. And then I don't want to let people know I'm lurking or gazing. I've been lurking and gazing for my neighbor to find out what's going on. So I have to knock on her door now and be like, I'm just checking on you. I'm giving you my regards. I want to see what's happening. Coffee this morning. Feels good. Tastes good. Thinking about forgiveness. I want to talk about forgiveness. So like I said, I watch the ID channel a lot. Maybe too much. I've actually, when I leave the house, I don't know if you do this. I have 2 dogs. I leave the TV on for the dogs. Do you do that? And it kind of sounds stupid, but it isn't really. I don't do it because I think they're going to watch TV. I do it because it cuts down on the noise outside, I think. I don't know that this is true. But I feel like that it keeps them from running to the window and barking at people all day while I'm gone. I don't know. Again, I'm not there, so I don't know. But I've stopped putting it on the ID channel because I wonder if the dogs can get this energy. Because, people are dying on the ID channel. I just wonder because dogs, they sense things. And I wonder if they could sense that people are being murdered or something bad has happened. And when people they're telling their story and they start crying, do the dogs feel that? I kind of think they do. Have you ever noticed that sometimes a dog will bark on TV and your dog will completely ignore it? And then another time a dog will bark and your dogs will go crazy. I just wonder if that dog is going like, help, I need help me. And then the dogs are just freaking out, Another time, the other dogs are just like, they're yelling out poetry or something. I don't know. It's like your dog knows that one dog needs some help. So they start freaking out. So I just wonder if they know because my dog knows my energy. If I don't feel good for that day, my wife, like when she had COVID, my dog didn't want to leave her side. She would just kind of stay right there all day. She knew she didn't feel good. The cats know it too. So do they know the energy of the ID channel? If you leave it on all day, you get home, they're going to be more aggressive. Maybe they're going to be like planning my murder. They're getting ideas. I don't know. I've stopped leaving it on the ID channel. But I still watch it at night, and maybe they still get vibes from that. I don't know. But I've noticed occasionally, and again, I'm not going to be saying, I'm not putting anybody down when I talk about this. People could say this stuff, and it's okay. I just don't always understand it. So, like, you get these stories where a murderer came in and killed somebody's entire family except one person who was in college. And that person, they interview them at the very end, and the person goes, I've forgiven them. It took me years, but I forgave them. And I'm gonna argue with that. Is that okay? It's not, but I'm not. I'm just saying I don't think that's forgiveness. So to me, let me just say, okay, wait a minute, hold on. I'm gonna back up here. I'm gonna go to the dictionary. Here we are. Dictionary. I'm gonna read like 2 definitions. Dictionary. Number 1, act of forgiving. That's forgiveness. That's kind of weird. Act of forgiving. Okay. State of being forgiven. Okay. Number 2, disposition or willingness to forgive. That's forgiveness. I should look up forgive. But here's what I think. So forgiveness, it's a very valuable action, okay? And it's not just an action. This is the secret of forgiveness, is forgiveness is not an action. Forgiveness is a transaction, okay? Forgiveness has to be between two or more people and not one person. So you can't forgive someone unless the other person's involved. So forgiveness is a gift, essentially a gift that you give to someone else. So if you're not dealing with the other person, you're sitting there and you're saying, I forgave them, I've forgiven them. It's kind of like saying, well, I bought them a Christmas present, put them under my tree, just haven't given it to them. Because a gift is a transaction, and a forgiveness is a transaction. And forgiveness as a transaction has to start with the other person. So you can't give it without their permission. So first of all, let's just look at what the person is doing, the person who's saying that they forgave them. Really, the person is just saying, I have dealt with it, I've come to terms with it, and I've put it away. I've either forgotten it or I've filed it away and dealt with it, and I don't feel bad about it. I can live my life. I've dealt with it. It's not an obstacle in my everyday life. So that's what they've done. That's not forgiveness, but they have dealt with it. That's dealing. That's just dealing with life. If a tornado comes and tears up your house, or a fire burns down the next day you don't say, I've forgiven the fire for destroying my life. I've forgiven that tornado that came in and killed my neighbors and destroyed my house. I've forgiven them, and now I'm going to go on. No, you dealt with it, okay? Somehow. You still have bad feelings. You still have memories. Okay, we all do. But you don't have to forgive them because the tornado didn't ask for forgiveness. The fire didn't ask for forgiveness. The mass murderer did not ask for forgiveness. So you can't forgive them. Now, if the mass murderer does ask for forgiveness, now we're talking about real forgiveness. So, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, when someone says, and I hear it a lot, but you hear people just going, I forgave them, and the other person didn't ask, but I forget. It becomes almost like I'm spiritual. I'm super spiritual enough that I forgave them. I feel so much better about it's almost like you lift yourself above the other person, way above the other person. The person is already low, but then you become like, it's almost like you're saying, I'm a spiritual person. I did the good thing. I did the best thing. I did the right thing and forgave them, even though they didn't ask for it. But you didn't. Forgiveness has to come from the other person, because forgiveness is a step in repentance, right? You do a transaction against someone. You recognize that you did that. You could either ignore it, you could either keep going, or you can turn around. And that's what forgiveness is. It's you turning around and recognizing, holy crap, I hurt that person in some way. I transgressed against that person in some way. I stole from them. I did whatever you did. It could be I murdered their family. You did something. You're low. You're the lowest of the low at that point, and you recognize it. And in order for restitution, it's repentance. You have said, I am sorry. I recognize it. I'm sorry. And you go to the person. This is how difficult it is. This is why it's a spiritual practice in a way. Asking for forgiveness is just as much a spiritual practice as giving forgiveness. But you turn around and you say, please forgive me. I recognize what I did was wrong. And then the other person can say no. And that's where you have your spiritual problem. And that's what a lot of people do. Sometimes you just go, I can't deal with that yet. I'm not able to forgive you. So they came and asked for a gift and you said, no, I can't give you that gift. And then that in some ways stops their repentance. It stops them from becoming whole. Right? That's why you should forgive people, is because it's a gift. It's a difficult gift that allows someone to become whole again. And you have stopped that. You've prevented them from being whole. Is this making sense? It's like a complete circle. We all need that. We all need it. And then from the standpoint of the other person, if you do give them that gift, think about what an incredible gift it is that you could say to someone, yes, you hurt me, you hurt my family, you destroyed my stuff, whatever. I am willing, because you asked me, I'm willing to throw that out. Forget about it. Make you whole again. Give you a new life. Whoa. That's powerful. To give someone the gift of a brand new life when they don't feel like they deserve it, when they know that they did crap, that's the spiritual action, people. And forgiveness is a two-way street, really. I mean, it involves two people. It involves a lot of feelings and struggles. But for it to work properly, there has to be an openness on both sides. Both people basically open themselves to each other. And then it works that way. And then really, most spirituality is that. It's about the other person rather than you, really. If you want to get back to like the basics, the reality, not American spirituality. Real spirituality is always about the other person. Always. It's not about you. Who cares that you feel good now? Okay. It's about the other person. It's about the other people. And it's about, you're involved. You can look at it as a way of inflating your own ego by thinking, I gave that person forgiveness. They asked for it and I became a better person and forgave them. No, it doesn't work that way. And then if you say you forgive them and then 2 years later you bring it up again, you never forgave them. You never gave them a gift. If you ask for forgiveness and they forgave you and you bring it up again in 2 years, you didn't ask for forgiveness. You didn't accept the forgiveness. Forgiveness brings a complete wholeness back. You're a new person. You're restored. Your life is restored. You don't have to live with that burden of crap anymore. But it's got to work. It's got to begin with the other person. So if the murderer comes to you, and this happened, it does happen. I've seen letters. Murderers will write letters and say, I'm a different person now. Or I lost my mind. I didn't know. If someone came in and murdered my family, my wife, it would be difficult to forgive them. It is a difficult thing. Never easy. If that happened and the murderer wrote me a letter saying, please forgive, what would I do? I don't know. I think eventually I could. You could forgive a person and realize a person is not really the action. We've all done crazy things. We've all done things that we just go, whoa, that's not me. No one wants to have that on their record. So a chance to have that wiped away and a chance to be whole again is what it's about. And I think that no matter how bad the transaction is, as much as we can get into that position to, first of all, the other person has to be humbled so much that they can ask, which is a huge step. then you have to be willing to give. And together, those two things work to create forgiveness. That was a period. You remember Victor Borge? Phonetic punctuation. I'm putting that out. That's all I'm going to that's all I'm going to say about forgiveness. I know people mean well when they say I forgave them and the other person never even asked for it, but you didn't, because forgiveness starts with the other person asking. Basically, you're saying I dealt with it, and that's good. Awesome. You dealt with it. You forgot about it. Let's just say come out and say I'm willing to forgive them. If they ask me, I will forgive them. I'm willing to forgive. And so I think that's a much more accurate statement. Okay, forgive me. This podcast has gone on a bit long, so I'm just going to stop it. I will quit now. This is a Thursday show. I like the Thursday shows. Usually they go short. This one went a little long. I intended it for it to be short. We have a listener line, 678-348-0008. You can text or talk on that line to me. It'll go on the show. Send me an email, rick@apocalyptic.com, or just hang out on Facebook. That's totally fine, too. I notice people are listening to the podcast on YouTube. Shout out, YouTube listeners. Thank you for doing so. I don't know. Does anybody else listen? I just don't know. I'm talking to myself.
This is Billy Idol. I want to wish you a happy holiday.
Billy!
And a very merry new year.
Billy came back. He said, Happy Christmas. Billy listens. I wonder if Billy does listen. I don't know. All right. I'm going to say goodbye. And Monday, we'll be back with a brand new show. I got to get a guest on. I don't think I could do it by Monday, but soon we'll have a new guest. All right? We will. I swear. I just got to put it together. It's kind of hard to do. Anyway, you feel good. Enjoy your week. I'll see you Monday.